Hello, how are you? This is Els coming from Bemis Crafty Corner, and today we are here with part 2 of our ephemera project. So let's just really quick review what we've already done, okay? So we took some file folders, we cut them in half, leaving the pre-ridged side, which we cut down. We cut these to the height that we want it, which for ours is 10 3/4, and that is our piece right there. And then we covered them on both sides, front and back, with paper. We cut a book cover, which we covered with paper. And we cut a very large spine, which we have not covered at all. And then we cut two pieces to go on the inside of our cover. There and over here. And so today, what we're going to do is we're going to get these put on. We're going to finish the last page we have here, and we're going to move forward. So when we left off, we were making these little pockets. Okay, and in case you didn't see the first part, I kept half of a page here, the back part of the page, so that I could put these pockets on and you guys could see how that was going to work. So I'm going to get stuff out of the way real quick, and then I'll be right back. We'll put these pockets on, and then we'll move on to doing the cover. Okay, I'll be right back. So to create our pockets, we cut them to the size that we want it, and we used some 1/4-inch tape on the backs, and we added some plastic. And to see how to do these, you really need to go back and watch part 1. Okay, so let's go on to part 2, and I'm going to do the first one here with the red tape so that you guys can see this. This is 1/2 inch, and we're going to put this on our edge here. And across the bottom of our pocket. And down the other side here. Now, I'm only using the red so that you can see. Now, in the first one, we also did this with vellum, just so everybody could see what a vellum pocket looked like. We'll talk about that in a second. So once I had that on there, I'm going to press it down so that it releases. And then I'm going to release this. And this tape is really sticky, but it never dries. And so I'm just using it to basically set this in place to give the glue a chance to set up. And so I'm going to put glue over the tape. And then I'm going to cover the back. And then we're going to affix this, and we're going to make sure that we're putting it on the right side, because we want to make sure that it's going in the right direction. And then we're going to press it down nice and firm. You can use your bone folder or whatever you want to press this down. And it's going to give you a nice pocket that you can put your fingers into, but that isn't so loose everything falls out, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the rest of my pockets on here, and then we're going to come back and we're going to put the whole thing together. This is the vellum one that we did. I like the plastic because I can see through and see everything that's in here. And we did a couple of different types of pockets. We did deeper pockets and we did some shallow pockets. We also talked a little bit about doing these half pockets, and that's so that you can put things that are taller here without having to worry about them, you know, interfering with the other pocket. So we have quite a few pockets here to look at. We'll look at all of those in a minute. I'm going to get this one finished, and when I come back, we're going to work on the covers, okay? Be right back. All right, so we are back with our covers, our outside cover pieces. And at this point, basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be gluing these down. And I like to do it with a little bit of tape around the edge. So, just because it allows me to get very close to the edge of the paper. So, I'm going to go ahead and put my tape all the way around, and then I'm going to press it down and put glue on the inside. So we'll get this on, and then we'll go ahead and do the glue, and then we'll get this start to set up, and we'll pull the tape off once we have this in position. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the first one here with you guys, and then I'll do the second one off camera. So let's take a look. So I have my tape on, and then I'm going to go ahead and just press this with my bone folder. And that just helps to release that plastic covering on there. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip up my corners. And I'm just going to kind of crease those out towards the outside. And that's going to make it so that I can pull these off after I set this down. Then I'm going to get out my glue. I'm going to put my glue on here. Okay. And then I'm going to make sure that I hold my flaps to the outside. And decide where I want this to be. And then I can press that down and then remove my tape. And then once I have that there, then I can go over that with my bone folder and just press that tape down to get that nice, finished, secure application. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do the other piece as well, and then when I come back, we're going to work on the spine. Okay? I'll be right back. Okay. So what I have here is 2 sheets of 8.5 by 11 Tyvek paper, and I'm going to be cutting some strips that are 3 inches wide by 11 inches long. And these are going to, what is going to bind the whole thing together. So I'm going to get 2 strips out of each sheet. And this stuff is expensive, so I will keep the other piece. Because I can use it in something else. Alright, so now I have 4 pieces of my Tyvek. I'm going to get my spine. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting this on to the book on either side of my spine here. And I'm going to do it about 1.5 inches. So I'm going to put this on a mark right there. That's my 5-inch spine. So I'm going to put this on at about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on here. And I think we're going to be just using the regular PVA here. So I'm going to go just about 1 inch down here. And I'll add more as I need to. But I'm going to put some glue on here. And then I'm going to put this on. Move it to about right between 1.25 inches and 1.5 inches. Okay, because I have to leave that space in the center here for, you know, the hinge. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to put glue at about 1 inch wide. And then I'm going to put my piece of Tyvek on. And in order to spread the glue, I'm going to move it to just between 1.25 inches and 1.5 inches. Right there. Okay? There we go. Now I have to put my covers. And we want to leave a thickness that is about as wide as our board, as our chipboard. So that's where like the scraps come in handy, okay? So I'm going to get all of that. I'm going to clear some room so we can lay this out flat, and I'll be right back. Alright, so we're going to do this one side at a time. And what we're going to do is we're going to line this piece up on our board. If you don't have a board, that's okay. Just use a regular ruler, okay? So you're going to take this edge of your piece, line it up, and then you're going to line your cover up at the same spot, okay? And ideally, the space that you want here is the width of your chipboard. So this is just a 1-inch piece that's like about 1 inch wide. It's about 1 inch wide, but it's the width of my chipboard because it's a piece of it. And I'm gonna line that up. Go. So that's the gap that I want to have for my hinge, okay? So here's my trick. Take a pencil and I draw a line. Now I know where my glue goes, okay? So I'm going to put glue on to that line. And then I'm going to bring this back and I'm going to stand this up. Right there on that edge. And then I am going to put my cover down. Now this is going to get covered with fabric, so it's not a big deal. You know, it's going to be covered with something else. Alright, so now that I have that on there, I can do the other side. And I'm going to follow the same procedure, because I want to be able to stand my edge up right there. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Again, I'm going to bring in my piece. I'm going to mark my line. That's where my glue is going to go. Go. Let me get my gap here. Make sure that I have it just the way I want it. And then once I have it where I want it, then I'm going to press it down and I'm going to let it dry. All right. So now I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to come back and we are going to finish the cover, and then we're going to start getting our pages in. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so for the next part of our process, we're going to glue the other two strips of Tyvek down over our gaps here. Okay. To do that, I'm going to put some glue here and here. And you'll notice I didn't go all the way to the end of the Tyvek, and that is so that I have a little bit of a wiggle room here. And then once I have it where I want it, then I can come back in and, you know, extend my glue. And I'm going to do both sides. Now this is just a big bone folder, but it's going to allow me to push that Tyvek into that joint that we've created right there, so that this will bend easier. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So again, I'm just going to put glue about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch down the side here. I'm going to put on my Tyvek strip. Get it where I want it. And then once I have it where it needs to be, then I can lift up the outside of my Tyvek and apply a little bit more glue to glue this all down. And again, I'm going to let this dry. Now, because I want this to dry like a book, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand it up. Just like this. And, you know, I can put a couple of clamps on here. I'll use some little ones. You can use some clothespins here, you know. The idea is just to make it so that this spine area forms properly. Okay? So I'm going to let this dry, and then when I come back, we're going to talk about the outside, getting it covered, and then putting in our pages. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, so we have one more piece that we cut to go here, and so we cut this at the same point so that it would wrap around in the same way, but obviously, and we knew that this was going to happen, the washi tape, the Tyvek stands out a little bit, and that's okay because we're going to fix that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is line this up as best I can, and I'm going to glue this piece down, and then we're going to flip the whole thing over. I'm going to tuck in the top and the bottom, glue those down, put in my center piece, and then I'm going to fix this with gold washi tape so that it looks like it fits. I know, genius, right? Okay. So, it's time for glue. Alright, now I'm going to match up my lines as best I can to get this as even as possible. We are going to be using clamps again here because we know from doing the cover that this particular paper is a little bit stiff. So I'm going to be using some clamps. I'm going to glue the top and the bottom, and I'm just going to let this dry completely. And then once this is completely dried, then I can cut my paper that's going to go in here. And then I can put my washi. So again, I have this clamped, and I am going to be putting it in the upright position because I want everything to be that direction. There we go. So we're going to clip this at the top, just gently. We don't want a lot of pressure up here. And I'm going to let everything dry, okay? And I will be back once it is all dried up. Alright, so our glue has dried. And that means that our next step is going to be our washi tape. So I am going to turn this over. And we're going to be covering this with washi tape and this. And so I want to make sure that it's going to stick. So I'm going to use this, which is a 1/2 inch double-sided tape. There we go. Okay, now. Now this washi tape is going to go all the way around, but for now, I only am concerned with this side. There we go. And then I'm going to take the backing off here and expose the adhesive. And then we're going to put our washi right over that. I'm going to leave washi at the top. Okay, we're going to flip this over. And we're going to repeat that tape process right here. I do realize I'm off camera, and I apologize, but the book is very large. Alright, so again, I have this exposed. Somewhere around here is a pokey tool I just had in my hand. Well, we'll get a different one. That's why we have multiples. Probably threw it on the floor. Alright, so I'm going to expose the adhesive here. And then I'm going to bring this piece of washi tape up and bring this one to it. Alright, so that's one side. I'm going to repeat that on the other side. And you'll see where that's going to fix that issue. Okay? So I'm going to get the other side done, and I'll be right back. Alright, so we have our washi tape. And then across here, I have placed just some half-inch double-sided tape. And that is just a personal I wanted to do it. I have a piece of paper here that is cut to the same height and just covers our Tyvek. And so I'm going to put some glue on this. We are going to glue this down, and we're going to be using that tape as well. Now, this is obviously not art glitter glue in here, because I wouldn't be using it like this. This is just a straight PVA glue. Alright, so I'm going to take this, turn it over. We are going to start our tape. Top and bottom. And then we are going to begin to put this down. Just making sure that we're lining everything up. Put that down, that down. Get my bone folder. Do some pressing here. And then I'll come in right around the edges as needed with the art glitter glue. Okay. Alright, so now I just have to put the folds in this piece. And then we can move on to the next part. And all I'm doing here is just breaking down the fiber of the paper so that everything fits the way it's supposed to. Okay. So everything is now pretty much built as far as structure. The only part of this we really have left to do is to let everything dry, and then we're going to put in the pages. So that is going to be part 3 of our project. All right, so that's it. We're going to let this sucker dry, and then we'll be back for part 3. Listen, if you're new here and you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that button for me and subscribe. Like me, ring my bell, share me with all your friends, and then your friends can be my friends, and my friends can be your friends, and our friends can get to be friends. And before you know it, we have a giant crafting community. I go live on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 11, 12, 1 across the country, 8 o'clock over in Hawaii. And I post videos on Mondays and Wednesdays. Right now I have 2 things going on in 2022. The first of which are my free classes. I am offering a series of free classes throughout 2022. If you would like more information on those, best way to do that is to subscribe, ring the bell, and click the all notifications button. And that way, when the classes download on a Saturday morning, you will get a notification. The other thing I have is my hashtag 12 of 22 journal challenge. That is 12 topics, themes, or styles. And the best way to get information about that would be to click on the link in the description box below. It'll take you over to a little slideshow, give you all the information that you need. You do not have to do all 12 journals, so don't feel like you can't join just because you haven't started yet. That's all right. Not a problem. Listen, until I see you again, stay well. Bye-bye.